All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Off Court Podcast, episode 10.
Woo!
The paddle podcast covering all your paddle needs. We
Yeah.
are your hosts. I'm Hugh. This is Connor. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, episode 10.
Crazy weekend for it as well.
Crazy weekend for it. I think the 10th episode coinciding with a really good tournament is actually turned out really well for us.
Very poetic in a way.
Very poetic, yeah. Because
The-
we can bring you guys some really juicy, exciting content on the 10th episode, which is great.
I mean, come on, it's written on our forehead. We had a final without Coello and Tapia.
Yeah.
Which was not what we predicted in our last episode. We were very
We
certain.
were, and we missed. But however, we did say we weren't 100% sure. We were just, I mean, come on. All of you guys were expecting the Golden Boys to be in the final as well.
It was an easy one, and I think we kind of felt the repercussions of relying on like the easy bet to make, right? And it shows that anything can really happen. And yeah,
I mean, Chingalan were so close to not being in it as well.
Yeah.
It
with
could have been
Coki,
number
Yanguas.
3s versus number 4s. So,
Crazy,
which
man.
would have been even worse.
Dude,
for
these
us.
guys miss 2 tournaments and come back, and we get like the most like
Yeah.
unpredictable turnout ever. But
It's
obviously-
good. It sets the tone for the 2025 season.
Oh my
you know?
god, dude,
A
where
bit-
is this gonna go?
A bit different, I know. So yeah, basically today, as we've just said, we're diving into the Miami P1. The top 100 players are back, baby.
Oh yeah,
And so are we. We're really excited about this episode. We got loads of things to talk about. But before we do that, let's do our catch up. Let's
Hell
do
yeah.
our usual icebreaker.
Hugh, how's everything with you? How's everything in the paddle world?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Not too bad. I haven't been playing that much
I know.
recently. Been quite busy, but yeah. I mean, it's getting sunnier now in London.
I was gonna say it's kind of like off-season-ish in London,
Yeah.
especially with all these outdoor courts here. That we're approaching summer soon, and it'll be better conditions.
We're getting better. Exactly. We're getting better conditions. We're getting more sun. So, I mean, unfortunately, there is a lot of outdoor courts in London. We
Yeah.
still don't know why.
idea.
So we're able to enjoy those a bit more now, which is good. Even though, I still think that indoor is always better than
For real.
outdoor.
I think the Britishness is wearing off us a little bit there because we're like, the sun is coming out after 500 days of not seeing
Yeah.
daylight. But yeah.
we are able to go outside.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. And I can't wait for it. For those who've kept up or are in the loop, I've been out with an injury.
Yes.
However,
Tell us,
tomorrow I'll be doing a little casual, slow warm-up to get back on the court, playing with
Nice.
some people who've never played paddle before. I'm bringing my other friends on the court. So I think
Get
that
'em
should
involved.
be fun. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity. I swear if I heard myself playing with absolute noobs, I'm going to touch wood. But yeah, it should be fun. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to come back. Just got some new paddle shoes. Maybe we'll make a separate reel.
Yeah, some really nice.
For that, if you
paddle
guys want to
shoes,
see what I
by
think
the
of
way.
them, I think they're from Bull Paddle. But we'll show you guys that later.
Yeah, we'll do a little unboxing, some
Yes,
more
yes.
content for you guys.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, come on. I think we have a lot to talk about today.
Let's jump right in. Yeah.
First of all, Miami P1, the first US-based Premier Padel tournament.
Mm-hmm.
What were your first impressions? What was the reality? And did it live up to expectations? That's a triple whammy right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's quite a few things to talk about in that sense. I think, I don't know, let's start with the crowd turnout, for example. A bit less than I was expecting, to be honest. I think, so my takeaway from that, I don't know what yours is.
You,
I
you
think,
tell me your thoughts and I'll share
I
mine
think
after.
it's so I was expecting, like maybe like a full-ish stadium with like more than, it was just like a few rows of seats.
You wanted like Super Bowl vibes with Kendrick Lamar halftime performance.
Exactly. Halftime performance, like t-shirt cannons,
Yeah.
confetti,
Monster trucks
the
flying over.
Globetrotters, just like,
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
But no, it wasn't like that actually, and it felt like quite a small venue. It was nicely done though. It didn't feel like tacky or that it was like lazy or poorly maintained or anything. It was just that the size of it I thought was smaller than I expected, which kind of means, I guess, for me is that it is not the first Miami tournament ever, because World Paddle Tour already did Miami's
Yes.
back in the day, but the first Premier Padel in Miami. Maybe it's a thing of it's growing, you know, in the US, but it's still not there yet. And this was like a little tester,
Exactly,
a little icebreaker to see where it's at.
I think that's kind of where I lie as well, a little bit with my expectations for it. I think just because we're obviously, maybe with the people watching as well, we kind of all live, eat, sleep, and breathe paddle, right? And you know, we have big hopes and dreams and excitement for it. But you know, I think that is the reality of where paddle is right now, especially with like a US based audience. That's kind of what it felt like. It's kind of humble beginnings. Obviously, you know, you mentioned World Paddle Tour, you know, already sort of establishing themselves back in those days. I feel like that's like for the old paddle fans, they like have flashbacks, like bring back World Paddle Tour, please. But you know, there's also Pro Paddle League, and obviously Reserve just popped up as well. So you know, it's not the first time that paddle's been played in the US, obviously. But, you know, you can tell that pickleball's still a more popular sport there. So it's still...
We had the tennis as well.
Miami Open.
Yeah, the Miami Open was there. Maybe that influenced a little bit as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, I think the investment is there.
Yes.
Because we've got, as you know, like Reserve and Coello moving there and all that. So clearly something is happening. But maybe like it hasn't broken out into the wider public yet.
I think it's just humble beginnings. I think, you know, get the players playing there, get the people talking about it. It was cool seeing like, you know, a few other popular sports figures there. You know, Carlos Alcaraz was there.
We saw Alcaraz there, yeah. We saw
Pogba.
Berrettini as well was there in the final.
And Pogba iced out with his glasses with some nice diamonds on his face, which is super cool. So it's there, it's bubbling, but I think we have to have a little bit of patience, and hopefully, you know, the Premier Padel and, you know, whoever else is involved kind of see this as a positive thing, and they want to come back next year.
Exactly. I think if they came back next year, we would see growing in crowd turnout. Definitely.
Yeah, I'd like to see that as well. You know, I think sure. That going back to my expectations of it, I was like, okay, maybe there would be a little bit more what's the word, dazzle or pizzazz or something, a bit of a spectacle. But I think it was a pretty, like, you know, bang on brand with the rest of the Premier Padel tournaments. It could have been, you know, Bordeaux, Brussels, you know what I mean? And yeah, maybe I just got a little bit excited with what's happening and thought there would be like jets flying over.
Dude, me too. I thought it would be more, but I mean,
at the same time, we're talking about the experience of it, but I think also the quality of the court, the speed of the court as well. I think that really like fostered these amazing games that we had. I mean, come on, guys, the semifinals was incredible. Juicy. I think we essentially got like 3 finals within a semi-finals in a
like
way.
3 really good games,
just crazy come out.
But talking about the court, like, what did you think? What were your feelings on the court? Like,
I think I have my honest opinion, and then I have a more of like a rational, sort of more mature paddle sort of
go for it. Let's hear
take on it as well. I like faster courts, guys. I like seeing crazy plays. I like seeing these, like, you know, even though you get shorter rallies out of it, I like to see balls flying around the court like crazy. And I think this court, not necessarily it was a slow one, but I definitely think the feel or the style of the play made them play a lot more technical.
Yeah.
Not as many smashes as I'd like to see. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, when you watch paddle and you experience it more, you can scratch below the surface of just seeing like people dunking it at the court, which I think you can appreciate more technical plays, basically. You know, making players run to each corner of the court, scooping up balls out of the corner. I think at the end of the day, it really like created some true proper paddle.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect combination of, I think the court itself, the nature of the court was maybe like maybe a bit on the faster side, but if you combine that with the like weather, like atmospheric conditions of Miami, which is very humid, which means that the ball weighs quite a bit more.
It's not gonna fly.
It makes it, the play style makes it a bit slower. So I feel like this court really like championed and rewarded really good smashers like Galán, like Coello, like the top smashers. They were the ones who could take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like Smash Fest where Chingotto was smashing everything. You know, it was, I feel like it was a good balance, but definitely it was on the slower side, I think. Which I think is, I know you like fast courts. I'm not the biggest fan of super fast courts. I like a good intermediate, because otherwise, I know pairings like Coki, Yanguas, who aren't, big smashers, and they rely more on patience and building up points. They can also shine and they can also play and show their skill.
Yeah, I think so.
While against playing like Coello and Tapia, for example, the Golden Boys could also do their thing, so it gives a bit of everything to everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that too. At the end of the day, I said that's why I have like a mature and like a a low IQ take on it as well, because I'm literally like an iPad kid where I'm just like I need to see balls flying around, dude. And I kind of just need to.
I need that visual stimulation.
Exactly. Yeah. Dude, where it's just insane. But that's something that we want to hear from you guys as well. What were your expectations, Miami? Do you think the first Premier Padel tournament to be in the US kind of paid off, lived up to his expectations? Did you enjoy the style of the court as well, the feeling of it, the speed of it? And yeah, do you want to see Miami come back next year? I think that's a question that we should ask. And hopefully it does, because it will be great to compare a year down the line. Did paddle sort of improve in popularity? Did it not? Did it stay the same? Is pickleball still the number one racket or hobby sport for consumers in the US? And we can compare it like that. But look, that's our initial vibes on Miami P1, but we have a lot of games that we want to talk about. So why don't we get into it?
The top 100 players are finally back after a long break.
They're back, guys.
After the boycott, they are legally forced to play P1s. So they're all back, which sounds weird to say, but I mean, come on. That was what a game changer, right? Seeing these guys back and girls back on the court. Well, no, the girls, we've already seen them.
Yeah,
but
we had the luxury of, having the top 100 females play, right?
But seeing all the top
makes such a difference.
7-8 pairs battling it out, quarters, semis, finals. It just goes to show, again, we've talked about this in our previous episodes, but they're just on another level.
It is crazy.
The rallies are just insane. The technique, the angles, the play style, it's like a different sport.
I think doing these episodes and, trying to come here because we have to talk to you guys and give you our sort of perspective on it. And we always try not to be too negative in a way, or we try to find a silver lining, right?
Yeah, always,
and there's always going to be a silver lining, right, with sports like this, especially when you don't have the top players playing. But you do feel that difference, as Hugh was saying. It was absolutely insane. To get that much, high level paddle back, even before the quarters, I'll be honest. But yeah, they're on another level. Yeah. And I think that's something we all knew already. But to feel it and just to go oh my god, this is insane, dude. I mean, I've said it already, but the semis was probably the best part of the tournament. Even though we got a final without Coello and Tapia, which we'll get into now. But should we get into the finals now?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Coello and Tapia got knocked out, and we got a Stupa Lebrón Galán final, which is unexpected.
Which is I feel like something that a lot of people wanted to see. The first time in 4 years that Galán and Lebrón face each other in a final.
A little bit of an old rivalry, would you say? They used to play together.
We had that massive fallout that I'm sure all you guys know.
Civil War
in 2024. 2023, 2024, kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we got it was a Stupa Lebrón Galán match, but it was a LeBron Galán, metaphorically, poetically speaking.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to deduce from the game, especially from the warm up. I think there was.
Oh, dude, definitely.
There's
that clip, right?
There's a clip. We'll talk about this clip. Maybe Hugh, break it down for us a little bit. You're explaining to me what was happening, because when I first saw it, I don't know if you guys were watching the warm up as well, but we noticed a little bit of conversation, if that's a nice way to say it.
I mean, because Galán's on the backhand and LeBron's on the right hand, they you warm up down the line, as I'm sure you all know. So they were warming up together, and immediately 2-3 minutes in, I think this is, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, we're speculating a little bit. We're speculating,
but from what I could read, Galán was maybe warming up a bit too intensely. The whole point of a warm up is to be able to rally, it's to warm up, right? So he was kind of trying to hit winners and stuff, and I think LeBron just went up and said, hey, let's slow it down a little bit because we're trying to warm up.
Yeah, keep it chill.
I think Galán maybe didn't really like that comment, and then LeBron just, shows his hand to try and
catch the ball,
because I think it was LeBron feeding Galán at that point. And Galán just like lobs him, completely ignores his like hand. And then LeBron just picks up another ball and kind of like hits it to the corner, on the glass, like, you know, as a petty move. And
it's some like playground drama, you know what I mean? Like if like, let us know if you guys also think that's what went down as well. It's kind of hard to say, to be honest.
There's a clip that I'm sure many of you have seen of that.
We would have shown it by now. And like and yeah, it did kind of set a little bit of precedence for the game, you know, when it's like, oh gosh, they're already going at it already. And as Hugh said, the game did feel like a LeBron versus Galán, even though there's two other players on the court, right? So let's get into a little bit of the game, though. And how did that feel? Like, oh my God.
Let's do it. I mean, yeah, it was a win for Chingalán, as you know.
Wait, before we go into the stats, who did you want to win before going into the game?
I don't know. I have this thing when I watch paddle, and I'm like, when I'm partial about the pairs, is I start off by like, you know, let's see what happens. But then as soon as one team starts dominating, or if it's, you know, Chingalán took 6-1 easily the first set. Yep. Then I'm on the underdog side. You know, because I just want it to be as tied and as competitive as it can be. But to be honest, I didn't have a favorite winner. It would have been nice to see, maybe Stupa Lebrón could have been nice just to, you know, I mean, it could have been like, because that's a statement, you know.
Yeah. We watched the finals together, and at the beginning I was like, who do you want to win? And he was like, oh, I don't know, man, maybe Chingalán. I'm like, you're full of shit, dude. You want fucking LeBron Stupa to win.
No, not like.
Can't say it.
It wasn't like that. It's not like that.
Come on. In the third set, I was
in the third set because I wanted a third set.
Second set, sorry, yeah.
Second set, I was like, I want LeBron and Stupa to take this one because I wanted a third set, and then from there, it's like whatever, you know. But yeah, I mean, it was super exciting.
So the number threes versus the number twos, essentially, right?
Yeah,
and yeah, we got an insane game.
It was insane.
And for finals too.
Yeah,
right?
I think at first glance, Chingalán just
let's start with them first.
Dominated the entire game. Yeah, definitely the first set, but then they had, they had a lot more breakpoint opportunities. 0 from Stupa Lebrón.
Yes.
9 from Galán Chingotto. They converted 2, which is an amazing stat, but crazy to have 9 opportunities versus 0 in the entire game.
I think the whole vibe, just if we focus on Chingalán right now, especially Galán, like I think the scoop or the headline is that this guy's just like in form at the moment. I think they're both in form, don't get me wrong, but this tournament specifically, Galán had this like fire to him where he was hunting this down. And
MVP of the tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit. And like I know a lot of people, because of literally what I just said, of him being on fire, but I genuinely think the support that he had from Chingotto was what, you know, gave him that confidence, or a good foundation to have that confidence to go forward, because Chingo's Viboras, even though I know it's like public knowledge now that that's his, you know.
But I think they're better now than they were before. I don't know. Maybe he's trained a bit more, or
I'm excited for them.
But his Viboras were nearly all of them.
It was crazy.
Were right on the joint between the side and the back. Wall.
It's insane.
Which makes it super awkward bounce, and that's really difficult to defend. Like
the
most of them, like the placement of them, plus the spin and the speed that he gets, is ridiculous.
I mean, you kind of have to bring it up. For those who are just getting into paddle now, Chingotto is an incredible player, but if you compare him to the rest of the professional players out there, he's on the smaller side, right? So, you know, when they go for the lob, they're going to put it towards Chingotto, right? Which, you know, some of you might feel initially like, okay, that's you got to pick on these guys, you know, and that's their weakness.
On their weaknesses,
and it's, you know, you can't change your height. And Chingo knows that. He's not known it, you know, forever, right? But his Viboras and his aerial game,
he's had to work on that because he knows that's where he's gonna get a lot of the volume is gonna be on him and on his overhead. So
and it's insane, and he just sweeps it up, man. And I think that really is just like fucking. The backbone of the team, really, because that is a massive weakness for them, in my opinion. And if they can keep that covered for most of the game and keep it consistent, because the moment that he starts returning those with these fucking nasty Viboras, it's like you're a little bit less hesitant to lob him a little bit because you know that's what's going to come back essentially.
And it's a lot of I think they complement. We'll talk about this as well with Stupa Lebrón in the final a bit less, but Chingalan, I feel like there was a lot of good teamwork in Miami P1. I feel like many pairs complemented each other really, really well, which is so nice to see, as in like actual team play, setting up shots for your partner, hitting a difficult Vibora to set up Galán for an easy finish at the net or a smash, so which was really, really cool to see. But if we get more into like this final,
let's dive into the stats as well.
I think we talked about Chingo's Viboras. I think we also need to talk about Galán on the net. Galán's volleys are absolutely lethal. We talk about, we know Galán's overhead game. We know he's got very good Vibora as well. Obviously the smash. He's a tall, strong dude. But I think he's best at the net. His backhand volley especially is super dangerous and poisonous. I think also, especially in the first set, it was poor lobbing from Stupa Lebrón that gave a lot of easy winners to Galán. We were just talking about this now, how I think Galán and Coello were probably one of the few only players in this tournament that actually capitalized on their smashes because they're so strong and they can hit with so much power and technique. They were the ones that could actually hit winner smashes, and Galán really took advantage of that. How the height he gave to the ball on that semi-slow, on the slower side of courts was just incredible. And and I think, I don't know what you thought, but sort of looking into the strategy of when I was observing Chingalan, it really felt like it was more about Galán pushing the net early on in points, Chingo staying back to avoid those lobs and capitalizing on his Vibora, and then joining Galán on the net when it was right. Because then if you've got Galán and Chingo on the net, they're both, in terms of reflexes, Chingo's one of the best. Galán as well. He's got that spinning backhand sometimes when he can't get there. They're flare. Super strong on the net. And that's something that I think really helped them take that win.
Let's shift our attention over to Lebrón and Stupa as well. And how did they, we kind of just bigged up Galán and Chingotto, right? Look, Stupa got put in the fridge for most of the game.
Incredible.
Do we have a nice stat for that?
Yeah, if you look at the in terms of balls played and volume, for Stupa Lebrón, we're looking at 60% of the balls played by Lebrón versus 40 by Stupa. Yeah, which is, it maybe doesn't seem like that much, but trust me, in terms of stats and what generally happens in a game, that's a lot. Stupa was definitely fridged.
Yeah, he was, because you know what? When the balls did come his way, the angles he was finding were insane. Yeah. And there was moments you could really see that he was trying to separate and split Chingotto and Galán up to find those, and there were so many nice shots that he made. But most of the time the ball was going to Lebrón, and as we said, it was a sort of Lebrón-Galán final ride, which
he didn't get a single lob, Stupa. No, I think insane. he hit like one or two rulos, probably like when it was like a mistake by Chingalan and a really short lob, he did like a few, smash winners. Yeah. But, they knew that lobbing Lebrón was the right thing because his overheads aren't as dangerous. It's not within his weapons, his dangerous weapons. Right. Lebrán's overhead isn't one of those. He's a lot more dangerous on the net and other stuff that we'll talk about. But yeah, I think they played that strategy really worked for Chingalan.
Yeah, they were fucking on fire, man.
Because Stupa Lebrón, which we'll talk about now when we talk about the semis and how well they did then. Yeah. In terms of, I feel like they're really going for pushing the net and finding the angles there because they are both really good at doing that. But it just wasn't happening this game because they were up against two dudes who do that really well as well. Yeah. So it felt like Lebrón was trying to find those angles and using his paddle IQ, which is on point.
We were saying that Galán's on fire. Lebrón as well this tournament was like, a lot of, I think the general consensus right now, it feels like Lebrón is kind of back in form, right? And I think that is something scary a little bit to watch. You know, these guys are really pushing. And if we get more tournaments like this where it does turn out to be this sort of like, you know, who knows who's going to get to the final. Obviously, we'll talk about Tapia's injury as well, because that was obviously a major part of it. But, you know, it is exciting to see the guy who was number one for 4 years start to feel a little bit of the fire, right? Get the ego coming back a little bit, get the confidence behind it. Because if you're losing games and you have an ego like LeBron, it's a bad feeling, right? But when you're winning, he gets away with it a little bit, and he can act like that, which, you know, not taking a jab at LeBron, right? But I think generally this tournament, he was pretty calm. You know, he didn't have any, I mean, we spoke about the clip at the beginning of the warm-up, but besides that, you know, he wasn't like taking his t-shirt off or anything after winning the games, right? Which we've seen before.
But I think that's also down to Stupa. I think.
What's your perception of this kind of a new pairing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think Stupa's getting the best out of LeBron, and LeBron's getting the best out of Stupa.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
Both, as you just said, I think I completely agree with you. I think LeBron's level and his paddle this year, starting to pair up with Stupa, has just increased a lot more. He's finding, we sort of, not just us, everyone sort of predicted it. LeBron going back to the right-hand side is the good move. That's where he is strongest, and you can definitely tell.
2021 vibes.
Yeah. 2020, 2021 vibes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's incredible. He's
a beast.
I think he's absolutely a beast. I think the thing I most like about him, or the thing I think is his best trait, is his paddle IQ.
Yeah, he's on it, man. Honestly, dude.
Like how intelligent he is, and how good he is at playing the right shot at every moment is actually insane.
Insane.
Unfortunately,
we got someone ringing my doorbell right now. Hold up. Let's jump back into the men's final here. I think we were talking about LeBron and Stupa, right? Yeah,
and LeBron's basically paddle IQ, which I think is more. I think that's more suitable when we talk about the semis. So if we just concentrate on this final, as we were saying, the strategy that Galán had, I think LeBron was making more errors than usual in trying to find those angles.
Yeah.
And I think it was mainly, this game was about the diagonal in between Stupa, LeBron and Chingo.
Stupa was in the fridge.
Yeah. And Chingo won that matchup against LeBron.
Which is kind of one of the reasons why it makes MVP for me a little bit, because, you know, it's a game of pairs right at the end of the day, and he gave Galán that confidence to go forward and give us, like, you know, a great final after two tournaments of you know, not getting the top level of paddle, right? Even though LeBron and Stupa were in Cancun last week, which felt a little bit weird against Toledo, but like it was incredible, guys. I mean, we can also have the females as well, the women's final.
Yeah, before that, let's just
run through
stats really quickly, so that we can actually give
flash stats up
numbers that support our arguments.
Run them to me. I can't see them, so I'm gonna live react.
As we said, like in terms of the volume played by LeBron, 60% versus Stupa 40%. Stupa was definitely fridged.
Yes.
Looking at general stats, we've got 42 winners from Galán, 29 of those by Galán, versus 13 from Chingo, 17 from LeBron, 13 from Stupa. So Galán was, as we said, with his smash, mostly 16 out of 22 smashes versus... So Galán converted 16 smashes. LeBron and Stupa together converted 9.
There we go.
Plus the 4 from Chingotto. Chingotto converted the same amount of smashes as Stupa.
Why do you think LeBron and Stupa weren't smashing? They weren't just getting opportunities.
Because they weren't letting them.
Yeah.
Because the lobs were on point.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what they weren't lobbing Stupa, who is obviously on the left hand side, and he probably has the better smash out of him and LeBron. So he wasn't getting the opportunity to do it, and LeBron, being on the right hand side, the lobs were pretty deep, they were pretty good, so he had a few, LeBron, 5 out of 10 and 4 out of 5 for Stupa, but it was just down to not being able to smash.
Oh my
basically.
God. There we go.
And then we've got, unforced errors, 24 from Stupa Lebrón, 22 for Galán Chingotto, not very informative.
But how many winners?
The winners, that's where we get the main difference. Galán 42 versus 30 from LeBron Stupa.
Okay.
So, yeah, a lot of unforced errors by LeBron. As we were saying, he wasn't finding those angles that he did find throughout the tournament.
How many unforced errors are we talking
18
here?
for
18?
LeBron versus 6 from Stupa.
Shit. What about Galán? How many unforced errors did he have that
13.
game? Right,
which
okay,
is, but if you can counter that with 29 winners, you know,
good.
that's
you're
fine.
Good. You're doing your job.
Plus 9 for Chingo. So
and we'll just flash up the performance chart here as well. Like you can see LeBron drop off right
you
after
can visually you can really see how.
Do you think that reflects his mentality a little bit when he's just like, all right, I'm checking out now, man. We're going into the second set.
I don't know if it's his mentality because he is. I think he's really competitive.
Strong,
He's really good. He's got loads of experience. He's played loads of finals. Number 1 for many years. I think it was just Chingalan were kind of just bullying him a little bit. With their game and just loading everything on him and making him miss.
Yeah.
And keeping Stupa really, really cold, which is super frustrating mentally for a player to be kept in the fridge, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty tough to watch live as well.
As we know, as amateurs as well, that happens to us sometimes, and it is super frustrating. But yeah, as you can see, the difference in between Chingalan were being kept both at sort of like the same level throughout.
Yeah.
The difference between Stupa was there with them as well, but then the difference between that and LeBron, who's got a total score of, you know, minus 11 nearly. He's the only one with a negative score, you know, totally. So,
oh my God.
So yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, you know, also let us know your thoughts on the finals, guys. Did you enjoy that? Was it nice having like, you know, maybe an unexpected turnout? I think really I'm excited to get into the semifinals a little bit, but maybe before that, let's touch on the women's finals as well.
What did you think, Connor? What was your impression on that?
Gemma, Triay, Delphi, Brea. They as a new pairing, it's like it's a great feeling as well. I obviously I love Ari Sanchez and Paula Jose Maria as well, but really those two guys coming together, leaving their old partners and seeing the new vibe, we'll forget about that. The guy at the door is ringing my door again. But paddle comes first, am I right? Anyway, it was a interesting game, kind of similar to when they last met back in Gijón, which I don't know if you're listening, Inez. Thank you for correcting us, but thank you for that. We completely forgot that these pairings met already.
We've got so many games and tournaments.
There's so many names in our head.
Sometimes we make mistakes. Apologies.
So it's great to see it happen again, and it was almost that had a lot of resemblance with that game in Gijón, where it kind of flip flops a little bit, right? It goes. The first set went to Gemma, Triay and Brea, and the second set goes to Sanchez, other way around.
First set goes to number 1s.
Yes.
Easily.
Yes.
With a 6-2. Wait, let me pull this up real quick.
Jamie, pull the stats up.
Yeah, here we go. So yeah, it's a 6-2 for number 1s.
Yeah.
And then very similar to Gijón, 6-1 for Triay and Brea, and then the third set is when it gets.
They like let it dance out in the third set.
What do you make out of that? Like, what's the?
I think maybe in their first game you could get away with saying they're just reading each other, but these guys are I'd like to think they're really studying their opponents and their play styles before.
And they know
of course
them really
they are.
well.
Yeah, exactly. When the first and second sets are like flip flops essentially, I don't know if it's a matter of just like. The feeling of the game, figuring out, how intense your oppositions are coming in and how hot they are and how, aggressive they're going to start playing. But I don't know. I always feel like Sanchez and Jose Maria also take a moment to warm up, or there's moments where they plateau a little bit and they lose the momentum, right? So I don't know if that's something within themselves. I mean, right now I feel like if I was in Sanchez or Jose Maria's shoes, feeling the pressure of Gemma Triay and Delphi Brea, building their confidence, picking up their third tournament win now, straight out of the gates for 2025. Like, that is slightly worrying. Obviously, they have a huge stack of points that they can sit on and breathe a little bit.
But it's a statement from Triay and Brea. Third out of 4 tournaments of the year that we've had so far, they've won 3. Yeah. Which is massive. And the one that Sanchez and Jose Maria won, they didn't even play a final.
No,
because
it was
Bea and Claudia had to pull out. So, I mean, what does this say? I think
I think it says game on. Let's go. Let's bring your A game. Otherwise, you have a chance of losing the number one spot, which I think was obviously it was their intentions when they decided to come together. But I think really the confidence that these guys are going to get now after winning their third one, they're going to fly a little bit. You want to run through the stats a little bit with them?
Yeah. And I just wanted to build on as well with what you said before. I think, it's a really easy set for one pair, then the next one really easy for the other pair. And then everything's decided on the third, which is a lot more equal.
Yeah.
But to me, personally, it feels like it's more on the number ones than it is on Triay Brea. What I mean by that is I feel like Sanchez and Jose Maria go from winning, 6-2, which is, it's not an absolute domination, but, it's
6-2.
It's 6-2, to then losing 1-6, I feel like that's more on them than it is on Triay Brea playing really well, because obviously you've got opposing forces. It's not that you're playing terribly, it's that you've also got your opponents that are maybe playing really, really well.
Yeah, I think that's also
but I feel like I feel like it's something mentally, because the exact same thing happened in Gijón, where you take the first set, boom, easily, and then you dip.
Yeah.
I feel like they've got some mental things to as a team to work out there.
Oh, 100%. You could tell that future. After the game ended, obviously they have such a high level of sportsmanship. They won't have any issues or anything like that. But I do remember seeing a clip of especially Ari Sanchez. She sat on the benches after the game, and she's processing a little bit of how that game went down, how did they lose. I think it's also super frustrating, going in and having one set each and then letting it all play out at the end. You kind of lose that momentum or that confidence that you could have, securing a set confidently.
And I think it's easier to go into a third set having won the previous one.
Yes.
Because you're on the up.
Yeah,
you've got that momentum versus winning the first one and then having to come back on the third.
That one, it's like a punch to the stomach a little bit.
But yeah, if we're looking at stats here, we'll do this also quickly. We've got nothing super. I think the most informative one is the unforced errors. We've 31. Got 31 from Sanchez and Jose Maria versus 23 from
that's a notable amount, right?
It's notable amount versus winners, which is Triay Brea got 2 more than Sanchez and Jose Maria, 44 versus 42.
Damn.
Same amount of smashes. 1 more break point, which again is something also, and we always say this, very important in paddle.
Yeah, of course.
If you can manage to get that upper hand just at the right moment.
Yeah.
Getting that point at the exact time you have to get it, that gives you that extra advantage is also really important.
The advantage when you're serving, and the advantage of being able to take the net straight away is everything, right? And when you lose it on that, it's what are you doing, man? You gotta wake up a little bit. But
MVP of the final,
Delphi Brea.
Absolutely.
Did you guys see the tournament winning point? Well, of course, if you watch the games, you would have seen the tournament winning point. But I think it was insane, dude, because she was at the net, man.
So satisfying.
Her aerial game was insane. She, Sanchez, all respect to her, was, a spectator in this because she had every shot covered. And then to see her come for the last ball flying towards her and dunking it at the court, and you see them both sort of collapse, and Delphi's just that feeling of when you're so dialed in.
Yeah.
And you're getting the balls, the stakes are so high, this is going to win you the game. And to hit the ball out like that and dunk it out and watch it fly away.
For the tournament, for a P1 win is, massive,
yeah, dude,
massive.
That got me hyped up. And I can imagine that the adrenaline that was going through Delphi must have been insane, because she just ran into the crowd to hug her family as well after, which I think is super sweet.
She's a beast, man.
I think it was such a hype way to end the tournament, right? And to get a win under your belt, and especially against, the number ones.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. Super, super awesome moment for them, right?
The chiquitas were one of the main things.
Yes.
One of the main things that she did so well to gain that net position, which is actually something that I wanted to mention.
Go for it.
I think it was Rodri Ovide, who is Brea's coach.
Right.
I want to say it is. Yes, I think
we'll
so.
Fact check after this.
He's a very famous paddle coach. He said something which is, so obvious, but I'd never thought about, and I wanted to just share it with you and with you guys as well, which is one of the principles of any, not even paddle, just any net sport, even it doesn't have to be rackets, it could even be volleyball, for example.
Yeah.
Is that when there's a net, anything below the net means you're defending, as in like if you're playing a ball that's below the net,
yes,
for you means that you're defending because your objective is to get it over the net.
Yeah.
And if you have a ball that you're playing over the net, that's an attacking shot, which is so obvious.
Yes.
But it's one of the principal, and it really made me think about strategy and tactics. And I was like, well, obviously, of course, ideally you want to get your opponents to play everything
up
below, to have to go from lower to up. Exactly. Yeah. So the chiquitas from Delphi, I feel like really
that's
help
the power play, especially when your opponents have insane aerial game, right?
Yeah.
Which of course they do, right? Sanchez and Jose Maria. So you know which way to get the sort of confidence and the strategy to play in your favor. Don't give them balls that they can take higher. Make them play low. Play a nice slice on the back so the ball dies super fast, and all they can do is bring it up. And they're at that point you eliminate a lot of the options they have in the shots. They're going to go for a lob, or they're going to try play to the wall. Yeah. And, okay, that's still a lot to handle, right? Even for the professional players. But I think, it's such a tough strategy to implement, because once you feel the pressure that your player is not giving you any sort of fast balls, it's all soft balls that might die before even reaching the back of the wall. I think that's like such a tough position to be put in, and to break through. And obviously Sanchez and Jose Maria didn't get that opportunity to break through. And so big shout out to Delphi Brea that tournament. Yeah. She's MVP for me.
Absolutely.
She's super incredible, man.
Yeah.
What an exciting parent. We've done the finals.
Yeah.
We have to touch on the semis.
We must,
because there were so many good games this year. We have to narrow them this tournament. Yeah. We have to narrow them down. Who do you want to do? We got to do Coello Tapia versus Stupa Lebrón.
Yeah, I mean that was probably the game of the tournament.
The Golden Boys. The Golden Boys. They're gone.
Yeah,
they got knocked out.
What happened there, Connor?
I mean, I feel like we have to be a little bit more sensitive on this one, because it was essentially just Coello on the court. Tapia came on that court, taped up, blue sports tape all over his hand, and I think when everyone saw that, it was like, okay, you don't normally play like that, buddy. And unfortunately, Coello, I feel like, got put in the fridge pretty much the whole game.
Tapia.
Yes, Tapia got put.
Sorry. You're right.
Yeah,
Coello got put in the fridge. You're absolutely right. Sorry, I got confused.
I mean, who wouldn't, right? You guys have to, look for your opponent's weaknesses, and normally that's a little bit more disguised than seeing their injury, right? But they preyed on the weak one, and they picked on Tapia, I think. And I think
there's an injury there.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
He wasn't smashing at all this tournament.
It felt like he was playing at literally 20% capacity. Mentally, he felt he was gone.
Yeah.
Between Coello and Tapia as well on the benches, I heard some things that were is unusual for them being a great team and complementing each other all the time.
Yeah.
At one point, I think Tapia told Coello, just focus on yourself.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't really help me for you to say things to me when I'm playing like this.
Yeah, because Coello was trying to hype him up, and he was like, honestly, I know I'm playing bad. The crowd knows I'm playing bad.
Look at my hand, dude.
Yeah, I'm trying, and I'm getting, the majority of balls pushed my way, and I'm just trying my best. Yeah. I'm not sure when he picked that injury up, because if you think about it, these guys haven't played a tournament in almost a month, if you think, or 3 weeks, and to come back into a tournament and get sort of injured halfway through. I'm not sure when he picked it up.
Feels like he's quite prone to injury, because he had that Hexagon Cup scare as well, where he had to.
Yeah, that's true.
John Sand had to replace him because he was, it was preseason, and he was. I don't think he got badly injured, but he was just preventing.
Yeah.
I think it might be just his intensity. I always say that I feel like Tapia. I mean, he is the Mozart. He is incredible. But he's such a risky player. He takes so many risks because it works for him. He takes risks, and he's a high risk, high reward player. It pays off. But, he plays with such high intensity. Maybe there's something to do there. He kind of reminds me a bit of Coki, who's also, we'll talk about it now, but he finishes many games, and you can just see him. He's like absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
You can see it in his face that there's pain somewhere. It's players that play at 1,000 RPM for 2 hours straight. So maybe there's something there about that,
I hopefully, because I like seeing him back on, I don't, that's the feeling of the game. It was great that, part of me is like, wow, Coello and Tapia got knocked out, but in these conditions, it was a little bit I feel like they're picking on the the weak one a little bit too much, which in fair, they have to. They have to, and to get to a finals and to pick up, or to not pick up another tournament win, but to get to a finals and secure it like that, fair play to them. And yeah, that's kind of my vibe from the semis, really, with Coello Tapia and Stupa Lebrón. It's like they were playing with one less player, and that's it, really.
The Golden Boys, it wasn't their day. If you want to get like a bit more into like tactics and stuff and observations I had of the game, I think, as we were saying, this was a perfect game to show, even though, Tapia and Coello weren't playing their best, it was a great showcase of Stupa and Lebron's capabilities and the weapons they have.
Exactly.
They played, I feel like, I feel like Stupa and Lebrón play with a lot of personality.
Of course, their showmanship is amazing, man.
They show up and they play against the number ones like, what's up? We're here and we're here to play.
Yeah.
Which is it is a really important thing, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, their mental confidence is like, they don't even question themselves. They deserve to be there, type of thing, and you got to give props to them for that, honestly, because it's Stupa Lebrón, and one of them has the biggest ego on the circus, man. And there's pros and cons that come with a big ego.
Yeah,
the confidence that you have in yourself is undeniably huge, right? And you need that sometimes to really handle that stress, handle that management, to really look at yourself in the mirror and go like, okay, we're gonna lock in right now and go against the number ones, and look at the outcome of that. So I was just so impressed from them. Like, it was shocking, actually. Because of the time zone, Hugh messaged me at like 1 a.m. He was like, bro, guess what, man? I'm like, what? He's like, Coello Tapia got knocked out. I was like, no way. We just made a prediction on that as well, which is like the funniest thing ever. But hopefully, because Santiago's happening right now, I have no idea what their position is going to be in, because it's not like there's any time to recover. We've got another P1, and
we'll see.
I think that can create circumstances for another interesting final. Without the Golden Boys, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But all the best to Tapia. Hopefully he's fine, and we want to see him like flying out the court and doing like the most ridiculous shots ever, right?
Let's hope so.
But is there other semis that you want to cover?
I mean, just to continue on the semis a little bit, this one a little bit more. It really felt like it was such a strong net defense from Lebrón and Stupa.
Yeah.
Like, we've always say the Golden Boys really push. They got a massive net pressure, but Stupa Lebrón faced them there, as we said, with personality. And they were winning those, because that's what Stupa and Lebrón, what we've realized within the last few tournaments, especially Miami P1, what they actually do really well is going up to the net and finding the way Lebrón covers, both of them actually, the way they cover the middle is insane. They find really good winners within angles, playing down the middle.
Yeah, Stupa is an animal for that as well.
And they were using alternatives to the lob as well, really precise angles, smart shot selection. We know how dangerous they are on the overheads, not especially Tapia wasn't in this one, but yeah, and then the paddle IQ from Lebrón was incredible. As I said, closed the middle very efficiently.
Oh yeah, dude.
And yeah, they beat Coello and Tapia most of the times on the net, which is finding clean winners, which is very difficult. Even Coello at one point said they were, and on the benches I heard, they were like considering staying back. Which Coello was like, we're not finding it on the net, which is what we usually do. So it's so weird for Coello to say, let's stay back and see if we can find anything from the back of the court, because we're not finding it on the front. Coello being a player who never plays on the back.
He lives in the front court, right? Like that's that's insane.
And then the Tapia smashes clearly. If we look at the stats here real quick, 39 winners versus 29. I think that's the most informative stat. 10 more winners. 6 smashes out of 15 for Tapia, which is so rare for him. That's really bad.
The injury speaking there a little bit, right? So super hesitant to do what he normally does.
2 more unfirst errors from the Golden Boys, and then in terms of break points, we've got 5 out of 8 for Stupa Lebrón, 3 out of 7 for Coello Tapia, just a bit more. 6-4, 6-4, close-ish match, but definitely Lebrón and Stupa take it semi-comfortable.
I mean, 6-4, 6-4 is...
It's not even a third set. It's close, it's not a 6-1, 6-2, but, still...
I mean, but yeah. I mean, going into the second set, doing a 3-set game at some point, shifted in Coello and Tapia's mind where they were just like, all right, let's not tap out, but let's move on a little bit.
Yeah.
Focus on the next tournament, focus on Tapia's recovery, and just go forward from there. But yeah, I think there's one more semis that we have to touch on really quickly.
Probably, yeah. That was probably my favorite, even though this one was
It
big.
was a crazy game. I think that's when I actually, like, even though it's super late on into the tournament, and obviously we're excited that the top 100 guys are back, but that's when it really felt like paddle's back. When Coki Yanguas went up against Chingalan, it was just like an insane 3-set long game, super long game. The aggression was there from both of them. They're both playing incredible, really. And I think, as also a new pairing, Coki Nieto and Mike Yanguas, maybe don't get as much attention on the limelight, but they are an incredible duo, don't you think, man? Their power is insane. It doesn't happen often, but Coki whips out this crazy bajada off the back wall, and the power behind that is just like intimidating. I don't see a bull fly faster than that from a lot of other players. You know what I mean? And yeah, to have Mike Yanguas, who's just an absolute animal as well, at just fucking covering each side of the court, man.
Yeah, he's one of the best forehands in the world right now.
Yeah,
I mean we've got him right here. Shout out to Coki Nieto, but now that you just said this, I was gonna say, like, I know that Coki isn't a flashy superstar, super like smash heavy, flashy player, but he kind of flies under the radar because of that. But he is so good. His level of paddle is ridiculous. His speed, his passion, dude. I feel like he plays with so much heart. He's a patient, building up the point. Like, doesn't give up ever. I think he's an incredible player.
Well, what were the stats like this game? Because let's start from the scoreline a little bit, and we can catch everyone up.
We've got a 6-2 first for Chingalan. Then Nieto Yanguas come back with a 6-4 for them. Yeah. And then it ended. I mean, anyone could have won this match, really, because it was a 7-6 for Galán Chingotto, and the tiebreak, I think, ended 7-5.
Yeah, which was kind of nuts watching that. That was like super, super high.
Which is like this game was literally about an inch.
Yeah, it doesn't get closer.
I mean, wow. Than that. Yeah.
I mean, that's the pressure makes diamonds there, really. Like, that's absolutely insane. Is there any point that we can pick out where it's that you kind of noticed the shift between Coki and Mike, where they kind of lost the game essentially, or is it just too tight to tell?
I think it's just too hard to tell. I think what they did really well, which is something that, for example, Stupa and Lebrón didn't do in the final, is, and I heard them say it in the benches as well, and then they implemented it, and you could see it working, and it was actually really cool. Again, Chingo's Víbora from the beginning was lethal. In this game.
Yeah, I mean,
so they were finding loads of winners and assists with that. As soon as they saw that was repeating on the bench, they were like, all right, we gotta, which is something so cool, actually. The lobs were adjusted to be aimed more centrally. So instead of aiming them towards Chingo's right shoulder, so towards his corner, because that's when Chingo can find a lot more angles.
Yeah.
They either aim it towards Chingo's left shoulder, more central, so that either Galán takes it with his right hand, but it's a central overhead, so it's not as dangerous.
Right.
Or Chingo has to adjust, and he doesn't get that angle to hit it on the corner.
It's
there,
true. It has to be like that perfect, tiny field where they have to get that lob to fall almost flat against the back wall.
So that's what they did really well, especially going into the second set. That really worked for them. I think in terms of if we look here at the stats, which is a bit weird because we've got 55 winners for Chingalan versus 36. Nieto Yanguas, massive difference. But then we've got 45 unforced errors for Chingalan versus 34 from Nieto Yanguas, which is also a massive difference. But I think you just counter it with the sheer amount of winners they got, which was incredible. And if we look at Galan's winners specifically, I mean, he's got 20 out of 32 smashes. So he converted 20. Yanguas and Nieto together converted 5.
Yeah.
Galán has 27 unforced errors, which are like, whoa, but counter that with 39 winners. Definite MVP of that game. He was incredible. It's so interesting to see how Galán, same in the finals, I don't know what you think, but under pressure, when when you need him, Galán is there.
He's there. He's so consistent, especially now, and that's why I'm excited for the, if they can keep this, if they're just in form at the moment, and if they can keep this momentum, they keep this confidence, man, they're gonna put a bit of pressure on Coello Tapia, and obviously I feel like I'm the boring person being like, well, Coello Tapia have so many more points, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the time, if Coello Tapia aren't securing that many wins, these crazy stats of like it's been 300 days since they last lost a P1. I think those are they're kind of chipping away a little bit right now, and I think they need to take that confidence. And if they're in form, and if Tapia's injured, and all of these circumstances play out like this, you got to capitalize on it right now. And I think Stupa and Lebrón probably have the same hunger. It's just if we go back to Stupa Lebrón quickly, like I don't think the message is like can they take the number 1 spot. Can they take the number 2 spot?
Can they take the number 2? Yeah, I mean, because Chingalan, I know we said we've got that really viral reel that we made, our most viewed one about about Galán calling up Cardona, which we thought was going to happen. A bad prediction as well by myself.
Who knows?
But like, it feels like they're really gelling now. Definitely, Galán's improved his game loads.
Yeah,
Chingo has as well. I feel like Chingo can face Coello again on the diagonal and surprise him there because it's insane how good he is. Galán feels a lot quicker. I think his preseason was different this time, and he's lost some sort of muscle and sort of general, not weight, because he's obviously in incredible shape, but you know what I mean. So that he can be more agile and faster.
Hasn't got my body, I don't think.
But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they're really gelling, and I'm really excited to see what they do. I mean,
think it kind of takes away the narrative of kind of the half of last season, right? Where it was like, you would know where to put your bets on, right? Towards the, in the semis and finals like that. And that's all we can ask for, a little bit more of a competitive landscape, a little bit of more, of a dynamic feeling going into a tournament that we don't know, kind of, similar what the women's has at the moment, which is like, it's all that's going to do is like push the competitive feeling, right? And the stakes are going to become higher. They're going to be thinking really about, is there anything more that they can do instead of like, oh, we got this already. We know what we're doing. We've done this a bunch of times. So, I think that's super exciting. And I think we got probably, a really great tournament for the first tournament in the US. But I think I really do want to touch on just 2 quarters really quickly. I think Hugh wants to speak on a little bit of Paquito Bergamini versus Coello Tapia as well, because I got like a flurry of text messages from Hugh as well, being like, "Yo, this game's insane."
It was insane.
If you could give us a little nutshell take, or
I mean, it was really interesting to see. I feel like Bergamini and Paquito can kind of surprise you every once in a while. They are the number 7 pair in the world. They are incredible, but they are up against Tapia and Coello. Unfortunately, they were so close to taking the second set and taking us to a third set, which is already an achievement on its own. Taking the Golden Boys to the third set is massive already. But they were up 5-1 or 5-2 on the second set, Paquito Bergamini, and they lost 7-5.
That's got to be the worst feeling.
So the comeback from Tapia and Coello was insane. I mean, if we look at stats here, we've got, again, I think that the weakness of Navarro and Bergamini is that they don't have that winner power. Even though the game was mostly focused on, again, in this the backhand diagonal, because we've got 60% of balls played by Navarro, 56 of the balls played by Tapia, so it was in between them, basically, the game. 48 winners from Tapia Coello versus 30 from Navarro and Bergamini. Unforced errors, 28-26. Positive for Coello Tapia, not that big of a deal. And then we've got the break points, 5 out of 14, which isn't a massive conversion rate, but versus 2 out of 6, the amount of opportunities that Tapia and Coello had to break, that's why they
went through.
They clawed it back. But we've got 30 winners from Coello, which is massive. 30 winners from Coello and 9 unforced errors.
Yeah, he's just clinical at that.
That is huge. I mean, he's got a 22.16 overall score versus a 5.8 from Tapia, a 0.68 from Navarro, and a 3.16 from Bergamini. So clearly the MVP was Coello, and how just good this guy is and how good he can be. 19 smashes converted. I mean, just huge. But yeah, it was a shame. Navarro and Bergamini could have maybe, done something, taken them to the third set. But they just couldn't
would have been a surprise. But, at that point, I'm not too sure if Tapia's stats also reflect his injury at that point, right? That was still in the quarters.
I think this tournament just hasn't been
Tapia's.
Quiet,
huh?
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's also, not to pick on the losers, essentially, but another pairing that I wanted to talk about as well was Di Nenno and Garrido. I think out of all the new pairings, I don't know what your thoughts are, but slightly underwhelming. I think, obviously, maybe it's still early-ish days, this is the second tournament they're playing in now. And out of all the new pairings, I think I'm a little bit disappointed in how they've played, how far they've come right now. Both incredible players, especially Di Nenno. His defense is insane. Garrido's aggression, his smashes are also, his specialty. But I don't know what it is. It's something that we're going to have to see them play out for the rest of the season. I don't know if that's what you guys have picked up on as well. I've seen some people talking online. It's a little bit disappointing seeing their progress, but hopefully they can find something that, gets them going. But yeah, that's it at the end of the day. These are the risks you take when you kind of sign up with a new partner. And you kind of gotta play from there and just see where you go, really. But I think
they're just up against these behemoths. They're up against. We've got Golden Boys, we've got Chingalan, we've got Stupa Lebrón, and then fourth is Coki Yanguas, and then they're the fifth. They're the fifth pair. So from these four compared to Di Nenno, Garrido, I feel like there's a bit of like a level difference there, if you know what I mean. Like how close Di Nenno and Garrido are to Coki Yanguas.
Right.
It's not that it's a massive difference, but I feel like Coki Yanguas are a much stronger pairing than Di Nenno Garrido. So it might just be like a mix and match. Missed opportunity basically for Di Nenno Garrido. But hopefully.
I mean, let us know your thoughts. Who are your favorite pairings as well? New pairings, exciting pairings. Who do you think is performing the best out of the new ones? Who's performing the worst? I'll put my hand up and say Garrido and Di Nenno are performing the worst. And, that's just how it is. And it's exciting. I think, we kind of hit the main chunk of our episode, but we have a few little extras that we want to cover as well. I want to hear, I think we've said it already, but we can talk about it a little bit more really quickly. But MVPs of the tournament, I think yours is
Alejandro Galán.
Mine's Chingotto, and I think I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
And I think we've said it already, so we won't go too into it again. But Galán, I mean, both of them are just on fire, right? Yeah. And they're forming it so well.
Yeah.
But really, I
why
think,
why do you think Chingo was just that? Why does it give you? Because we know they're both. But why is it Chingo for you?
Ultimate teammate, I think, because he can support. I think it goes back to as well. Maybe if we want to transport ourselves back to the last half of last season, right? And I think a statement people would be pretty confident in saying is that, between Coello and Tapia, if you want to compare them, they don't need both of them playing at 100% to win tournaments, right? And I think it was a little bit reminiscent of that, but it kind of goes against it where Galán is on fire right now. He's playing so well. And to see his teammate also just kind of support him there. He knows his weaknesses. He can back himself up. He's not an issue to worry about. Yeah. It takes one less stress out of Galán's mind to make him go, hey, I'm going to play like this. I'm going to go with the most confidence. And I think for me, I noticed that a lot this tournament because Chingotto, for me, he was fucking locked in.
He was.
I mean, Galán is also Galán.
But for me, Galán was basically because of just the winner ratio that he got. And as we've just said, in the semis, even though he showed a bit of impatience against Coki Yanguas a little bit, trying to go for the winner a bit too early, in both cases he was super decisive when the game was on and when there was a tie break. He wasn't afraid to go for the smash. He wasn't afraid to push the net. His volleys are just, as we've already said, absolutely ridiculous. And how good he is under pressure. Yeah. And, just like, here I am, again, with personality, which is such a huge thing in any sport, but especially racket sports, of when it's about inches and when it's not a time thing, it's a points thing, which completely changes your mentality, when 100%. It's about like, okay, if I lose this, I'm gone, or I need to win this exact point. Galán was,
you'll take it,
incredible.
So there you go. Hugh's MVP of the tournament was Galán. Mine, Chingotto. We'd love to hear yours as well. drop them down below. I think you'll probably either fall into those two names, right? But, just speaking of Chingotto as well, did you see him get nailed in the head?
Yes.
Yes. I think it was against Chosas. I forgot his teammate's name, but
Ruiz,
Ruiz.
the two Alexes.
I got scared for a second, man. Point blank at the net.
Dude.
This ball's going 100 kilometers an hour. And for a second, it felt like it got buried in there for a second. And I don't know. It's just something that obviously you see players get hit all the time, but point blank in the face, right to the nose.
It wasn't even like the forehead or the head, which is already crazy, but it was like on the button. It was insane.
It was insane, I guess. I think these are the risks of paddle. It's like an extreme sport. But yeah, that's a notable one for me as well. I remember just feeling my eyes started watering a little bit because I can't imagine. They change these balls every 9 games, guys. Like, this is a fresh ball getting smashed into your face by a professional paddle player.
And this is like if you and I smashed a ball into each other's face.
I wouldn't speak to you for a week.
And that would hurt so much. Imagine a elite professional paddle player who hits the ball 10 times harder than we will ever hit the ball, That's crazy. Same with it happened to Coki as well. First point of the semis, he gets nailed in his privates.
In the cockies.
In the cockies.
Hashtag Coki Cookie.
He gets nailed in the privates, and then he got nailed like 3 or 4 times again, not in that specific area, but again against Chingalan. He got so frustrated.
Enemy on that one. Yeah, man. I mean, that's part of it as well. But
it is super frustrating when that happens.
You see that often, but getting nailed in the face, that's why seeing Chingotto get hit like that. And a lot of people were like, is that why he's wearing his nose tape? Like, no, that's just something else. He just is having breathing problems.
Yeah.
And to get hit in the nose as well is another thing. I think 2 more things on our list before we get to the end of the episode. It was great to see Carlos Alcaraz attending the semifinals of Miami P1 because he got knocked out of the Miami Open.
Round 64, I think, which is kind of...
I saw someone's like, rumor has it that he lost on purpose to watch the paddle.
I doubt it.
I'm like, sure, buddy.
Could be.
You love paddle as much as we do, but that definitely doesn't happen. And who else famous was there? Pogba was there as well?
Berrettini, as we mentioned.
We mentioned these guys
he was there
already.
in the final.
But also on the reserve Instagram as well, it was kind of cool seeing, because obviously Coello wasn't in the finals. It was cool seeing Carlos Alcaraz, Coello, Javi Garrido, and Thiago from
Alcantara.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They it seems like they were all playing on Sunday morning or afternoon.
Weren't even watching the final.
They were checked out playing at Reserve Battle Club. And I think I've only seen images. We'll flash some images up. But if there's
I wonder how good he is. I've seen Nadal clips of him playing paddle.
Yeah.
But I wonder
that would be a crazy game, actually. Getting all the pro tennis players to play a game of paddle.
Yeah.
Carlos Alcaraz, Nadal, Djokovic, Federer. Come on, that would be insane, actually. The All-Stars type of thing. I'm down for that. That's just like some celebrity stuff. But yeah, look,
it's cool to see. It's cool to see also how how the sport expands and how the reach it can have, and even like other celebrities and
everyone
other
loves
athletes.
it. Everyone loves playing paddle.
Messi plays paddle. Cristiano loves it. I mean, he's building the biggest paddle club in Portugal. I think this massive complex.
It is great.
So this sport is going in the right direction. Definitely,
and it's incredible because now we're about to enter a triple header essentially, and we're flying. When we're not flying,
hopefully, it's one day.
Someone fly us out there, please. Santiago. Another P1.
Next P1.
All the man dem are there.
Already happening,
and it's already happening. So there's a lot to be excited for, I think, really in the climate between the men's now after this tournament. So soon as well, not enough recovery time for Tapia. It might also be slightly questionable for the number ones in this tournament. We have no idea.
Give me your little thoughts, expectations, like something you'd like to see happen. Like, what's Santiago saying?
Oh my God, man. No, I'm just kidding.
Shaking them.
Yeah, literally. Obviously the confidence is with Chingalan a little bit here after picking up this one. Stupa Lebrón are probably just as hungry as well. I want to see a little bit more of Coki Yanguas, actually. I'll give him that. I think that's something you said last episode as well. I don't know if they can do it, but I'll put my money on Coki Yanguas. Now anything can happen. I'm scared doing Koya and Tapia again.
But the thing is, these are predictions. That's the whole point. They can be right. They can be wrong. We will never know. I fear, though, that it will be on the faster side of things, this court.
You think so?
Again, I will correct myself in a week on next episode if I'm completely wrong. But I think because of altitude, probably.
They'll be flying. The balls will be flying.
I think Santiago is a faster court than usual. Definitely faster than Miami.
I feel the last time we made predictions, we absolutely jinxed them. So I'm scared to do it. But yeah, I'll put my money on Coki Yanguas on this one.
Yeah.
To get to the finals, I don't know if they'll win it. Yeah. But I don't know who they'll play against. Galán maybe. Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Or that could be a quarters. I don't know, man. Now I'm actually like, damn, this is exciting.
It is exciting because Stupa Lebrón might surprise, like it could be. Okay,
hit me with your predictions and then we got to wrap the episode up.
I'm going to say.
It's a tough one.
It really depends on Tapia's injury, to be honest.
To see his state, I don't think he's going to recover in the next week.
I don't see it happening. If Tapia is like fully recovered, I can see them going into the final against Galán. If he isn't, and we'll see if they can even like play this one. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I'm sure as soon as we post this episode, bunch of.
I'd like to see, just for the sake of drama and competitiveness and giving the circuit a bit more spice, let's give it to Stupa and Lebrón.
Yeah.
Or at least making it to a final and having a really good final.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I mean, another Stupa Lebrón Galán final as well.
Yeah.
Make that the rivalry for a little bit.
Let us know.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, please
let us know what your thoughts are, what your predictions are, what you're excited about for
definitely
Santiago. Also, what you thought about this episode, what we talked about. All that good stuff.
That's perfect.
We always read you in the comments.
Yes, honestly, guys. No.
And it's great to...
Especially if you guys have made it to the end of the episode.
Yeah.
We know you guys are the real ones, essentially.
And we really appreciate it.
So we appreciate it, and thank you very much for listening to another episode and sticking
episode
with
10,
us.
Baby.
Episode 10. 10 episodes in. This is great. And hopefully you guys join for episode 11. So
we'll see you in a week with episode 11, guys.
All right, take care, guys.
Thank you very much.